Hello everyone, my name is Kyle and I'm here to talk about E3 June 6th, 2011, which is basically the first day for Microsoft, their conference, and the Sony conference, as well as a few games that they showed in between. So a good portion of E3 was actually like live demos of like games that we knew were coming out or showing trailers that, we hadn't seen yet. So I won't really delve into that too much, but more so the games that are going to be coming out that we hadn't heard about. There were a few fails this year, as per usual. There's always things that we don't really care about, but then there's also hidden gems or things that we get really excited for. What would I like to talk about first? Like some of the game demos that we saw were Modern Warfare 3. It looked pretty good. It just kind of looks like Modern Warfare 2 though. I'm still really excited for the game, but I wasn't extremely excited to see that demo. I was like, okay, that's what that game is going to look like, alright. So a lot of things were kind of like that, like they showed more things for, I think, Gears of War 3 and Uncharted 3. It's like games that you know that are already coming out, and it just gives you more reason to get kind of pumped because they kind of show you some of the in-game stuff or trailers for it. But nothing too exciting. So I'll also have a bunch of like links to as many videos that I can get from E3 for the first day, so you can just like, stick onto this page and click on all of those that you'd like to see. I'll try to keep as many as I can on YouTube. If not, I'll just send it to like IGN or something like that if I can't find it on YouTube. So we had with Sony, the biggest thing for Sony was because they didn't really have a lot for PS3. The only ones that for PS3 that I saw were Starhawk, and I don't think they even showed any in-game footage, but it kind of looks like it could be an interesting game. That kind of looks like a third-person FPS type thing, I think. And it looks kind of cool, and it's really hard to describe. If you want to check it out, you can check it out on the link. And then there's also, I think, Dust 514, which is kind of like an FPS for the PS3 for Eve. And that one looked pretty good. It's still hard to tell right now how good it will be, but I was kind of excited for that one. The biggest one though for PS3 would be Sly Cooper 4. They just kind of showed a teaser trailer for it, and yeah, it looks pretty damn good. It still has the the artistic style that all the Sly Coopers had before that, just nicer graphics, I guess, for the characters. They only showed one character, but still. And then the biggest thing though for Sony was the new PSP2, which is called Vita, which means life apparently. And I gotta say that the graphics on this are simply amazing. They played like an Uncharted game for it, and ModNation Racer, and I think a game called Ruin, which Ruin is kind of like kind of looks like Diablo on the PSP, I guess, or Vita. And the graphics though for Uncharted were amazing. These are definitely the best graphics I think for a handheld ever. Like it beats the 3DS as far as I can tell, because they're just stunning. It's so crystal clear. It almost looks like it could rival like the PS3 and Xbox 360. It's beautiful, and there's going to be a lot of good games coming out. And so there's I saw Uncharted, ModNation Racer, and Ruin, and those are the three ones that I saw for that. So I'm really looking forward to that, and they have said that it's going to be just the Wi-Fi only is $250, and if you get the 3G Wi-Fi then it would be $300. So it's actually not very expensive at all. Like the 3DS, Nintendo's version is $250 right now, and you can get the Vita for that much as well, and the graphics are just so nice. And the entire screen is actually like a touch screen. I don't know how I feel about that, but it looked all right. So it's kind of like, the Nintendo DS kind of has a touchscreen. This has the same thing. So that was the biggest things that I've seen from Sony. So bear in mind, I have not seen everything. I tried to look at all the major announcements they had, so that's what I came up with. And then we had the Microsoft conference. Oh, there was a Ubisoft thing, and they, talked more about the Assassin's Creed game. And I think that with Assassin's Creed, they're kind of making a game every year now, kind of like what they do with Call of Duties. And I don't really like that because I want to get excited for a game and only play it every few years. You know, every 2 years was fine. Just give me more than a break than a year before diving into another game like that, because it'll become redundant and it'll be the same thing over and over again. You can kind of get away with that with FPSs to an extent, because I guess the single player is so short and then the multiplayer is where it's at, and everyone's going to just be playing the new multiplayer. But with a game like Assassin's Creed, you would get a longer single player, of course, but it's still not that much time, I think, for you to really want to get into the next chapter of whatever that game will be. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. Yeah, Microsoft. The biggest things, actually I'll talk about that after. Microsoft kind of wasted a lot of time talking about like Kinect games and games that are going to be, you know, the hardcore games are going to be able to use Kinect, like Mass Effect 3. You can use some of the things so you can talk and have dialogue. But that doesn't mean anything to me at all, and I think there's some FPSs that are going to be allowed to use Kinect controls, and that's kind of cool, but not something that I really care about, or a reason for why I would go out and buy Kinect. And then they had a bunch of games, like they had Star Wars, and I think that the Star Wars games just looks horrible to me. They showed it last year, and then they showed it another part again this year. I'm still not sold on it. The only game that I would really want for the Kinect, I don't have a Kinect right now because there's nothing really there for me. But the only game that would interest me is Child of Eden, because that actually looks kind of interesting and would use the Kinect in a good way. They also showed, I think, a new Spyro game, which is for the Kinect, I believe, but I'm not sure. But it looks really kiddie, like made for children, so I'm not really excited for that either. But the main things that I am excited for are they're remaking Halo 1 Combat Evolved, which was for their 10-year anniversary, and it's going to be in all HD, made for the 360, and there's going to be multiplayer, and there's going to be a 10-person multiplayer co-op mode, which seems pretty awesome, and it's a different way to look at Halo, I guess, with 10 people online together, working together. And it's going to be multiplayer, and I think there's 7 maps from Halo 1 and Halo 2, and I think they showed one of the maps, and it was, I think it's called the Beaver, but anyway, it's one of the smaller maps, and I was just like, oh my god, like, I cannot wait to play this again. I'm a huge Halo fan, but Halo 3 was really disappointing to me because I didn't really like any of the maps that they had. I love the maps from Halo 1, I love the maps from Halo 2, and I'm so glad that they're making the Halo 10-year anniversary game. I hope that they do it for Halo 2 as well, because I do actually think I prefer the games from Halo 2 a tiny bit more, but Halo 1 are still just amazing maps. They're like my favorite maps to ever play in an FPS game, Halo 1 and Halo 2 by far. So I'm really excited about that. The only thing is that Master Chief kind of looks weird. He actually looks better in Halo 1. Like, I guess he looks clearer in the Halo HD game, but they kind of changed his suit, and he kind of looks like what he would have looked like when they were first starting to work on Halo, if everyone has ever seen that before. It's kind of like he's a slimmer version, but whatever, it's the game and the multiplayer that I'm going to care about. And it's also only going to be $40 when it first comes out, which is awesome. And then at the end of the Microsoft conference, they had the teaser trailer for Halo 4. And, you know, I've always wanted, ever since Halo 3, for them to continue it, and they basically confirmed that there's going to be a new trilogy, so 4, 5, and 6. And Master Chief, you see him like bust out of like this chamber, and there's lights on him, and he like flies over to Cortana, picks her up, and he like flies out of wherever he was, and he's going like 0 gravity because he's like in space, and he's just flying around with like rockets in the back of him, and he just shows up and he just looks outside, and that's all it is. And they're heading into like some area where it looks like it might be like a bunch of giant halos or something. I don't know. They're heading into something that's huge, which will, I guess, be the next trilogy. But it's just awesome. If you like, you know, Master Chief just saying like a few words and doing his epic little thing, it's an awesome trailer. And, you know, Halo 4, and that's coming out in 2012 holiday. So that's basically everything that I've seen from E3 so far for today. I'm sure there's a few things that I have missed, but that's as much as I've seen so far. So not that bad for a first day. I'm really excited for Halo, the remake of Halo 1, Halo 4, and the Vita, like Uncharted. I'm definitely gonna get that, and Sly Cooper 4. Those are the main things I'm looking for. Alright, subscribe if you want to check my channel out for tomorrow. In the next few days I'll be doing same thing over again for those days. Goodbye.